Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, our group will explain about the market equilibrium for the increases price of coconut milk.
My name is Muhammad Farish bin Muhammad Izwan.
My name is Syarid Azil bin Anwar.
My name is Muhammad Dinishin Mambi Hamdan.
My name is Muhammad Fatih Fahmi bin Faizal Razak.
My name is Muhammad Daniel Iqbal bin Muhammad Hamdan.
My name is Muhammad Daniel Shakimi bin Muhammad.
First of all, I will explain about why the price of coconut milk has increased. In recent times, the price of coconut milk, a main ingredient in many Malaysian dishes, has seen a sharp and concerning increase, drawing public attention and sparking worry among consumers and local food vendors. From household to hawker stalls, coconut milk is considered an essential component in daily meals and festive recipes. Its rising cost is not just a matter of grocery pricing, it reflects a wider issue within the agricultural supply chain and national food economy. The inflation in coconut milk prices is mainly attributed to a combination of supply side and economic factors. Declining coconut produce due to unpredictable weather conditions such as prolonged dry spells and storm have reduced the availability of fresh coconuts. This shortage is particularly troubling during festive season when demand traditionally spikes. Furthermore, the increase in costs related to logistics, fuel, labor, and packaging has driven overall production expenses higher, forcing the manufacturers and seller to pass the burden onto consumer. For small business operators, especially those in the food and beverage industry, the situation is even more challenging. Many are struggling to maintain profit margins without compromising on product quality or increasing price. This in turn affects customers who now face higher costs for beloved local dishes such as rendang, nasi lemak, and other curries. Some vendors have resorted to reducing portion size or seeking alternative ingredients, step that risk altering the taste and authenticity of traditional food. This increase in coconut milk prices also point to wider problems about food security, agricultural resilience, and the need for more sustainable practice in coconut farming and processing. As Malaysia remains partially dependent on imported coconuts, fluctuation in international trade and exported restriction from neighboring countries also influence domestic pricing.
Okay, now I will explain about analysis of market equilibrium. The diagram above is a market equilibrium diagram that shows the relationship between demand and supply in the coconut milk market. Coconut milk is a widely used product in Malaysian household, especially for cooking traditional dishes such as kari, nasi lemak, and rendang. The market for coconut milk is affected by both consumer demand and producer supply. First of all, we need to know about definition of demand and supply. So, definition of demand is the desire to purchase a good plus the willingness and the ability to pay for that good at a given time, while definition of supply is the quantity of good or services that is offered to sale at a given price and in a given period of time. Demand curve is the downward sloping from left to right, and supply curve is upward sloping from left to right. Demand for coconut milk is influenced by several factors like price of coconut milk, income levels, and festive season, while supply of coconut milk depends on cost of production, weather condition, and government policies. Okay, so now we need to know about definition of market equilibrium. Definition of market equilibrium is a condition where the quantity demand and quantity supply are equal. This occurs at equilibrium price, which is the price at which both buyers and sellers agree, and at equilibrium quantity, which is the quantity trade at the price. The market equilibrium of coconut milk is determined by the intersection point between demand and supply at point E. The equilibrium price is at point PE, and the equilibrium quantity of coconut milk is at point QE. This is a stability point since the equilibrium price and quantity are already determined, and there will be no tendency for both equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity to change.
So, this is analysis of coconut milk supply in Malaysian market. The graph shows an increase the price of coconut milk. On the contrary, the quantity of coconut milk show a decrease in the Malaysian market. Due to the rise on price of milk or coconut milk, the supply curve will shift to the left and make the equilibrium price to increase from PO to P2. Furthermore, the equilibrium quantity will decrease from QO to Q2. Moreover, the new equilibrium level will change from E0 to E2. Based on the graph, this situation makes movement of supply curve which is from S0 to S2, a leftward shift that affects a lower quantity of coconut milk supply for each price level. But demand for the coconut milk still same at D0. The reason amount of coconut decreased because it cannot grow well.
So now I want to explain about the analysis of coconut milk demand in Malaysia market. This diagram shows that the price of coconut milk increased from P1 to P2, which caused demand to fall from D1 to D2. The main reason for this price increase is a shortage of coconut milk suppliers. Unpredictable weather such as too much rain or long dry season affect how coconut trees grow, which lead to less supply. This diagram also shows that D1 and S1 are the original demand and supply curve before the shortage happened. At point P1 and Q1, the market was balanced with enough supplies to meet demand. But after the shortage, the supply decreased and so did the demand, moving from D1 to D2. This means that at every price level, people are now buying less coconut milk, probably because it's more expensive or harder to find in the market.
So, I will explain about analysis of coconut milk demand and supply in Malaysia markets. The diagram of coconut milk shows shift in the both demand and supply curve in the coconut milk market in Malaysia. Initial equivalent before shift is demand curve D1 and supply curve S1 intersect at point price is P1 and quantity is Q1. So the demand curve shift to the left from D1 to D2. They indicates a decrease in demand, and for the possible reason is reduced consumer preference, availability of substitute, and economic downturn, lowly income. So the supply shift to the left from S1 to S2. They indicate a decrease in supply, and for the possible reason is reduction coconut harvest such as a bad weather, highest production cost, and less supplies interest the market. After the shift, the new equilibrium is at price P2 and quantity Q2. And for the result is price of coconut milk increase from P1 to P2, and quantity demand and supplies both decrease from Q1 and for Q1 to Q2.
Okay, so for conclusion, the analysis of the coconut milk market in Malaysia as depicted by the shift in the demand and supply curve reveals a new equilibrium due to factors such as reduced consumer preference, availability of substitutes, and economic downturns leading to lower income. The demand for coconut milk decreased D1 to D2. Concurrently, a decrease in supply S1 to S2 was observed, attributed to reduced coconut harvest success due to bad weather and higher production costs preventing new suppliers from entering the market. This simultaneous shift results in a new equilibrium at a higher price, which is P2, and a lower quantity, which is Q2. Therefore, the conclusion is that the coconut milk market in Malaysia experienced an increase in price and a decrease in both quantity demand and supply as a result of this combined demand and supply side pressure. Okay, so in conclusion, the Malaysian coconut milk market is currently facing a tough time. We are seeing higher price and less coconut milk available. This is happening because of two main reasons, which is first, less demand. People are buying less coconut milk. This could be because they don't like it much anymore. There are other alternatives available or the economy is bad and people have less money to spend. So the second one is less supply, which is there are also less coconut milk being produced and sold. This is due to bad weather affecting coconut harvest and higher production costs, which makes it harder for new business to start supplying coconut milk. The combination of less demand and less supply has led to the current situation. Prices have gone up and the overall quantity of coconut milk being bought and sold has gone down. Essentially, the market is struggling because consumers want less and there is less availability to buy. To fix this long term, it's important to focus on improving how coconuts are farmed using better technology and making sure there are stable ways to import coconuts. Thank you.